Thank you for being here. Welcome to your Wednesday practice. So as a reminder, on Wednesdays we practice heart opening exercises, and we also allow for about 15 minutes of pranayama and meditation practice at the end of class. As always, you're in control. You can jump off early if you need to, but if you have the extra time, I do encourage you to stay. Yoga is really an 8-limbed path. Here in the West, we mostly practice the third limb, the yoga asana, the exercises. But I think it's important to at least occasionally visit the limbs beyond that, which include pranayama and meditation. All right, so with that, let's find a comfortable, easy seat. Having your props and tools available at arm's length. And then allowing yourself to settle in, sitting tall, breathing deeply. You might soften your gaze, maybe looking to a fixed point in the distance, a drishti, unmoving object, or perhaps even close your eyes. Without making an effort to change anything, see if you can notice your next cycle of breath. Practice resting your awareness gently on the breath, coming and going. And notice that you are right here, right now. This is a time of the new moon in the lunar cycle. So for some of us, we like to use this time as an opportunity to become more introspective, maybe look inward, perhaps a time to plant seeds for the future. Let us be certain of who we want to be. Let us choose for ourselves our path in life, and let us try to strew that path with flowers. Émilie Du Châtelet, an 18th century French philosopher and mathematician, says we are planning our intentions perhaps for the month ahead. Let us be certain of who we want to be. Let us choose for ourselves our path in life, and let us try to strew that path with flowers. If you'd like to chant Om, you can draw your hands together in front of your heart. I'll use the ukulele to help us find a C note. Inhale deeply for Om. Release your hands to your knees. Notice which leg you crossed in front. And as you're ready, inhale, start to draw a big circle, drawing your heart forwards. And as you exhale, draw your heart back in space. You can draw your shoulder blades together and look up as you inhale. Exhale, shoulder blades slide apart, look down, or tuck the chin. Inhaling forwards and exhaling backwards. When it feels right, switch the direction, leading with your heart. Maybe you notice how the hips, how the very base of your seat move around. Come back to center. On an inhale, slowly reach your arms out and up. Really take your time. You might even wiggle your fingers. On an exhale, lower your right hand and reach your left arm up and over, taking lateral spinal fold. Here you're welcome to explore. Maybe you open your heart to the sky. Maybe you float your top arm back in space. Maybe it feels good to gently round your spine, looking down. Another breath or two. Try to keep your left hip really anchored to the earth wherever you're going. And on your inhale, reach up, both arms come to center. Exhale, fold to the other side. Really stretching the right arm up and over. Drop the right hip, keeping it anchored. And maybe you open your heart, or maybe you round. Exploring how you feel in your body right this moment. Another full breath. On an inhale, come back to center, reach up. And on your exhale, fold forward any amount. You might just drop your fingertips to the earth and keep your spine long. Maybe you walk your hands forward, rounding your spine, letting your head hang heavy. Sometimes I like to bring a block in front of me to rest my head on. Generally speaking, from my understanding, when we support our head, whether with a block or our hands or something else, it signals to the nervous system that all is well and we're safe. Breathe deeply here. Feel free to sway the body a little. Maybe you open and close your jaw or move your head side to side. Whenever you're ready, slowly sit up tall. Notice which leg you've had crossed in front. If you're on a blanket or a cushion, scoot off of it. Bring your feet to the earth. Hands can be on your thighs or back behind you, fingertips pointing towards you if you can. If your hands are on the ground, draw your inner elbows together, shoulder blades slide together and down. Draw your navel back towards your spine and imagine scooping it up towards your heart so there's an intentional engagement through your core. Breathe like this. And perhaps you float your toes off of the ground. You can bring your legs together. Perhaps you stay here. Maybe you bring your shins towards parallel to the earth. Keep lifting the heart. Maybe you release one or both hands, reaching to the distance. You can spread your toes wide. Notice if you round your spine in an effort to take the pose deeper and deeper, in which case I'd say back up, keep the spine long. As we stay exploring Navasana variations a bit more, maybe you lengthen one or both legs. Maybe you reach up. One more full cycle of breath. Do your best. Exhale, place your feet on the earth, rest your arms on your knees. Sit really tall with your next inhale. And exhale, let the head drop heavy. Rounding the spine, letting gravity have its way for a moment. You could take some gentle head and neck rolls here. Noticing the experience of the body. A lot of the times Navasana makes my heart rate spike pretty quickly, so maybe you too. As you're ready, sit tall. Hands back behind you, legs together. We'll explore Navasana one more time. If you know that you have piriformis issues, you could also lower to your forearms. This will help us target the abdominal muscles more, whereas Navasana boat pose really puts a lot on the hip flexors, which can mess up piriformis stuff. So working with your body, maybe you hold your legs, maybe you explore straightening both of them, maybe you release your hands. Anywhere in between is fine. Wherever you're going with it, breathe deeply for 3. Lift your heart, 2. One more big breath. And on an exhale, return to easy seat, crossing the opposite leg in front. Hands to knees, draw big circles, inhaling forwards and exhaling back. Switch directions when it feels right. And return to center. Sit tall. Inhale, slowly reach your arms out and up. As you exhale, lower your left hand to the earth, right arm reaching up and over, lateral spinal stretch. Reach, reach, reach as you breathe. Freedom, of course, to explore movement within this general shape. On an inhale, come back to center, reaching. Exhale, fold the other direction. Keeping the hips anchored to the earth. As the arm reaches up overhead, you might be able to feel the connective tissue stretching. On your inhale, come to center and reach. Exhale, fold forward. Moving in a way that works for you today. You're always welcome to explore lengthening the spine. That'll probably require you to lift a little. Maybe today it feels right to round your spine or soften forward. Just be aware of what you're doing. Another breath or two, inviting in small movements if you'd like. And on an inhale, sit tall. Let's make our way into tabletop. And if you have a block handy, go ahead and put it long ways right under your nose. So essentially when we practice dolphin pose here in a minute, we could hold it with our index finger and thumb. So having it waiting for you. And then take a few rounds of cow and cat, flexing your spine, inhaling to drop the belly, looking up. Exhale, pushing the ground away, rounding your spine, maybe passing back through a variation of child's pose if you like. A few cycles of breath. And return to neutral. Walk your hands forward, Anahatasana. Option to place your head on the block or to bring your head or chin to the mat. The hips stay over the knees. Keep your abdominal muscles engaged. Breathe deeply. If this feels like too much, definitely bring the block under your head. If it feels like not enough, you might bring the blocks under both hands. As we stay for another couple cycles of breath, notice your feet. If the tops of your feet are sort of floating off of the mat, you could press intentionally into them. Firm foundation. Imagine pressing into the shins. Notice the knees. Notice anything else making contact with the ground. That is your foundation. Press into it. And as you're ready, gently return to tabletop. Plant your forearms, elbows right under the shoulders. This is where if you have a block, you could brace it with your index finger and thumb like we're making an L. Engage your abdominal muscles. You could imagine dragging your knees towards your arms. That's a nice way to really hug the core muscles in. Tuck your toes, breathe in, breathe out, lift the knees off of the mat, lift the hips, melt your heart back towards your thighs, exploring dolphin pose. Keep engaging the abdominal muscles. You can keep the knees really gently bent. You can walk the feet forward. Imagine rooting into the mat with your elbows and pushing the mat up overhead. So we're trying to melt our heart back towards our thighs, any amount. This is a lot of work. Go easy on yourself as you breathe and just explore what's here for you today. See if you can relax the neck a little. One more breath. Softly tap the knees down to the earth. Untuck your toes. Send your hips back. Let's give our shoulders a break by bringing the hands back by the feet. Vipassana, child's pose. Breathe. And if this shape doesn't feel restorative or comforting to you, then take any shape that does. Maybe you take a moment to just sit up. Noticing your experience without judging it. Staying as you are, or returning your arms overhead. Framing the block with the thumbs and index fingers. Anchor your elbows down, tuck your toes. This time come into forearm plank. You may have to scoot your toes back in space. Push the ground away here. So we're not slouching into our shoulders. We are actively pushing up out of our arms and shoulders. The neck is long. You might even be able to imagine that there is hollowness or space in your armpits. One more big breath in. And as you exhale, walk your feet forward, press your heart back, transitioning into dolphin pose again. We'll be here for a few breaths. Keep in mind you can always take a break. And flip side, if you want a little more, you might lift your left foot to the sky, exploring dolphin with one leg lifted. And if you explored that, then let's set the left foot down and lift the right. One more big breath, set the right foot down if you lifted it. Exhale, knees touch down. Plant your hands. You can get the blocks on either side at the top of our mat. Inhale here, and exhale, downward facing dog. Child's pose is also always an option. Downward facing dog might feel really liberating after dolphin pose. You can also bring your hands out as wide as the edges of the mat, giving your shoulders a little bit more space. Let your head hang heavy. Our arms are overhead, so our shoulders are in flexion, which means the shoulders slide up towards the ears. Imagine moving the shoulder blades out wide to the edges of your mat. One more full breath. On an inhale, look forward, core muscles engaged. Exhale, step your way to the top of the mat. Bend your knees, hang heavy, Uttanasana, forward fold. On your inhale, rise up, reach up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, reach to the sky. Exhale, fold forward. Hands touch down, maybe grabbing blocks. Right foot steps way back in space. You can lower the right knee or keep it lifted, yogi's choice. Maybe here you're able to reach up. If so, then let's bring our arms into goddess arms. Bending the elbows, palms facing forward. Spread your fingers wide. We're actively engaged here. As you breathe, lengthen your low back. It's okay if a bend comes into your back leg. Maybe you can lift your heart towards the sky any amount. One more full inhale. And exhale, lower your hands to the earth. Step yourself into plank for a breath. One more inhale here. Exhale to lower your knees. Arms hug your side body as you slowly lower all the way down. Point your toes back in space. Press the tops of your feet into the earth. Bring your elbows under your shoulders, palms planted on the ground. Draw your heart forward, roll your shoulders back and down. Lengthen the low back. Staying here in Sphinx pose, or if you'd like, we can take half Dhanurasana, half bow pose, bending the right knee. You could pivot on the left elbow, so the left hand is like a kickstand, and reach your right hand back in space. Maybe you catch the outside of the right ankle, maybe not. If you do, see if you can keep your shoulders squared to the front. One more breath wherever you're going with it. And on an exhale, release and lower down. Hands come back under your shoulders. Arms hug the ribs. You could shimmy your hips a little side to side, releasing tension that may have snuck into the low back. And as you're ready, tuck your toes. Breathe in. Breathe out. Push the ground away. Powerful plank pose. Inhaling. And exhale, find downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. 3 to 5 breaths here. Notice if you can let your head hang a little heavier. Maybe you could bend your knees a little bit more and lift your hips a little higher. Press your chest towards your thighs. On an inhale, look forward. Exhale, step or swing the right foot to the top of the mat. Left knee can lower down or stay lifted. And if you'd like, reach your arms up overhead. Imagine squeezing the legs together. If the arms are up, I invite you to bring them into goddess pose or goddess shape. And perhaps you find a back bend here. Full breaths. One more big inhale. Exhale, hands return to the earth. Again, step yourself into plank pose. Breathe in, breathe out, lower the knees, lower the torso. Point the toes back in space. Elbows come under shoulders, planting your forearms and palms. Lengthen your low back, draw your heart forward, draw the shoulder blades together and down. Stay like this, or half Dhanurasana. Pivoting on the right elbow, so the right arm becomes a little kickstand to support us. Bending the left knee, reaching the left arm back in space. Maybe you're able to make contact with the left ankle. If so, kick the foot into the hand. Try to draw your left shoulder forward, so we're keeping our shoulders relatively squared to the front of the mat. Breathe. And on your exhale, slowly release, lower down. Fingertips under shoulders, arms hug the side body. Shimmy the hips if it feels good. Tuck your toes, engage the legs, inhale. Exhale completely. Then push the ground away. Inhale. Exhale, return to downward facing dog for a moment. Push the ground away, really lift the hips. On an inhale, look forward, and exhale, hop or step your way to the top of the mat. Inhale, rise all the way up, reaching to the sky. Exhale, hands to your heart. Hands to hips. Turn to face the wide edge of your mat, taking a wide stance, and then pivot on your right heel so the right toes point to the top of the mat. Bend into your right knee, lengthen your low back, and then reach your arms out wide, finding Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. As we settle in for several breaths, glance down. You could see the right big toe on the inside of your right knee. It means we're engaging the gluteal muscles properly. You can see that your shoulders are stacked over your hips, and you can feel the pinky side edge of your left foot pressing into the earth. As the fingertips draw away from each other, we stay really open and broad through the chest and collarbones. Maybe you bend a little deeper into your right thigh, gazing over the right fingertips. On your next inhale, flip the right palm to the sky and reverse the warrior viparita Virabhadrasana. Just like in our lateral spinal stretches when we were seated, see if you can feel the connective tissue around the hips, the side body stretching. And when you come to an exhale, return to warrior 2. Hands to hips, shift back to a wide stance, then pivot on your left heel, left toes point to the back of the mat, bend into your left thigh. You can still see the left big toe on the inside of the knee. You can still feel the pinky side edge of your right foot. Lengthen your low back, hips, and shoulders in alignment. Fingertips reaching away from each other as we're really broad and open through our chest, our big open hearts. Gaze over your fingertips as you breathe. Notice as much as you can about this moment. Your next breath, maybe you can lengthen the spine a little bit more. And on your next inhale, flip the left palm to the sky and reach up and back. Staying here for a couple of breaths. One more inhale. Exhale, return to Virabhadrasana 2. Hands to your hips, pivot on the left heel. Inhale, long spine, and exhale, slowly hinge forward. You're welcome to grab a block to let your head rest on it. And you can rest your hands on the ground or by your feet or ankles, or if you'd like a little bit more shoulder opening, interlace the hands behind your back, drawing the shoulder blades together. Perhaps you reach the knuckles to the sky. And if you've interlaced your hands, let's switch the interlace for the next breath or two. Release your hands to the earth if they're not there already. Heel toe your feet in. End with your heels in, toes out, knees always point the same direction as the toes. Sink your hips low, passing through garland or malasana, yogi squat. Hands coming together in front of the heart as the triceps and elbows push the legs wide. After a breath or two, release your hips to the earth by any means necessary. And as we roll onto our spine for Shavasana, if you'd like today to take a gentle back bend, lots of options. You could have the blanket in alignment or just right under the spine, reclining back on it in that way. Or you can have the blanket perpendicular under your shoulders. And you might choose not to use the blanket at all. That's okay too. Sometimes if we are taking a back bend, it feels better to keep the knees bent, the feet planted. You could also send the legs long. In case you have taken the back bend, I'll ring the bell in just a moment so you can release it and find a pure Shavasana lying on your spine flat. Continue breathing, allowing whatever's here to be present. Option to release the back bend if you took it, and we'll stay in Shavasana. If you notice yourself drifting away with thoughts or distractions, as soon as you notice, you can practice letting those thoughts go. Or practice returning to this moment. If it's comfortable, you might keep your eyes closed as you gently invite movement back into the body. Taking any movement that feels natural. As you're ready, return to an easy seat, knowing you can take your time. Transition into a few breathing exercises. As you arrive sitting tall, first we'll practice Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing. We'll use a simple mudra for it. So I like to place an index finger right about between my eyebrows just to rest the hand. The right thumb will be used to close the right nostril, and the ring finger or pinky finger can be used to close the left. So with alternate nostril breathing, we'll guide it through inhaling through one nostril, exhaling through the opposite. This has been studied, and as the ancient yogis already knew, it has lots of great benefits for balancing and calming. Okay, so inhale deeply, exhale completely. Close the right nostril with the right thumb. Inhale through the left nostril. Close the left nostril. Pause with both closed. Release the right nostril and exhale through the right side. Inhale through the right nostril. Close both, pause. Release the left and exhale. Inhale through the left nostril. Close the left. Open the right and exhale slowly. Inhale through the right. Close the right. Open the left and exhale. Inhale. Close the left. Open the right. Exhale slowly. Inhale through the right. Close the right. Open the left and exhale. Continue at your own pace, a few more rounds. It's completely normal if one side is more congested than the other. Just do the best you can. And the next time you exhale through your left nostril, we can release the practice. Now we'll transition into Bremari Pranayam, Bumblebee or humming breath. For this, we will be using our fingers to close our ears, so pressing a little cartilage tab into the ears. So before you do that, I'll give a little more explanation. We'll practice 6 to 7 times. We won't be able to hear each other, so just go at your own pace. Once you're done, we'll transition into seated mindfulness meditation. So just practicing open awareness of what's happening here and now in our experience. When we practice Bremari, pranayam, if you can keep your teeth just barely separated so that when you hum, you hear a vibration, you might even feel a vibration, and it sounds like a swarm of friendly bees. So a couple of options. You can just press the index fingers or thumbs into your ears, in the little cartilage tab, or you can use your thumb on the cartilage tab, index finger over your eyelids lightly, and the rest of your fingers fall like a rainbow down your face. Choosing the hand gesture that works for you. Inhaling, closing the ears, and humming 6 to 7 times. As you return to seated posture, arms relaxing down, you might flip your palms towards the sky in a receptive posture, practicing open awareness, seeing yourself, the observer of the experience, noticing as thoughts, observations, judgments, and critiques pass through the awareness, and you remain steady, the observer. Noticing perhaps sounds of the environment, the symphony of life that is always occurring around us, observing the equanimity, neutrality, allowing it all to be. Noticing if there is a chattery voice inside you, the mind fluttering from thought to thought. You observe this. You are not those thoughts. You are the observer of the thoughts. When you notice that the thoughts have carried you away, pause. Return to knowing that you are the observer, completely neutral in your observations. What's here now? Notice your next breath in and out. Releasing the practice. Pausing here to acknowledge how you're feeling in this moment. If by chance there's any sense of peacefulness or well-being, know that that springs forth from within you. And the more we practice cultivating it, the easier it is to tap into during challenging times. If you'd like to chant Om to close this practice, again, we'll explore using the C note. Inhale for Om. Thank you for sharing your time and your practice.